Hello! I've been gone for some time, which means you've all probably been really happy. Well, it's time to turn those smiles upside dials, because here's another collection pickup video all about video games. I collect them. You knew that. When you clicked on this video, you definitely knew that. You know who I am, and I don't know you. Unless I do, in which case leave a comment and we'll hang out and play some video games. Maybe the ones I picked up this month. By the way, we're talking about May. It's July right now. I skipped a month. Oops. I'm just really bad at things. Mostly because I've been kind of busy with work and friends, family, things of that nature. And believe it or not, I've been busy collecting video games, which makes it hard to then make a video about collecting video games. Maybe I just need to get better at this whole video making thing. But with that being said, it's July and we're talking about May. And yes, June will still get a video, and I'll try to get it out before next year. Let's get started. So May was really lucrative for me for video games for two reasons. The first is that I went to a buttload of yard sales, and the second is because I actually had somebody with me who was a lot more attuned to video games this time around going yard sailing. Usually I go with my buddies Joe and Dustin, who play video games but aren't into the same types of games as me, so they don't really see the importance all the time, and it can sometimes be hard to convince them to do something a little more attuned to what I want to try and grab video games, which is why a lot of times I usually end up going alone, which is unfortunate. But in May, I got myself one of those newfangled girlfriend things. So my new girlfriend Jackie and I went yard sailing all throughout May, and she is a wonder. She just kind of tagged along, but at the same time really got into what I get into, and she was asking about pricing and trying to get deals on my behalf and pointing things out, and when I made suggestions to do the unthinkable to try and get deals, like let's drive all the way out here, or let's go to this place, or let's waste 70,000 years trying to get this one thing, she was like, yeah, let's do it! And I was like, whoa! It's good to have a teammate who is also like your life partner. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, thanks to Jackie, I was able to collect like a ton of cool stuff, just because I didn't feel like I was burdening anybody. Not that my friends ever make me feel like I'm burdening them. I feel that way because I have anxiety, and sometimes it's difficult for me to make suggestions that might alienate other people. But Jackie was like full on ready to go. So now that I've gushed about my girlfriend, let's talk about some damn video games! So we went yard sailing a lot, and when you go yard sailing, you come across garbage sometimes, or at least garbage to the people who are getting rid of their things, because they had this, a Mario Party DS, box only, with the manual, so box and manual, just sitting out there on a table at their yard sale. And I looked at it, I opened it up, and I saw that there was no game in there, so I walked over to the dude, and he was like, oh, that's garbage, I'm just gonna throw it out. And I was gonna offer like a quarter for it, maybe $1 at the very most, because having the box makes buying the game separately way easier and cheaper. So I was just like, well, in that case, can I just take this? And he said, yeah. So I got the box and manual for Mario Party DS for free. But that's not where the pickup stops. Later that same day, I decided, you know what, if I have the box and manual and I don't own the game, I might as well just go pick up the game from like a game store. And I can get it loose, which means I'll get it a lot cheaper than if I got it in the case. So I did. I got Mario Party DS. And now it's all complete. I went to East End Gaming in Oakdale here on Long Island, and now I have a complete Mario Party DS. I also want to comment about how I love that for a little while, it's not going on anymore really, Mario games on like Wii and Wii U and DS came in these red cases. I really like that. I don't know, there's just something about it that makes me really happy. Red's my favorite color, so maybe that's why. If these were all red, I'd be like, fuck yeah! Which makes me really happy that the Nintendo Switch library, excuse me, the Nintendo Switch library is all like red cases, except for like certain releases that are like black spines. But like, that's so cool to me. I love red, and I love red cases, and I love Mario, and my favorite color is probably red because of Mario growing up. But you'll have to ask Child Me about that. So run back to the beginning of this video, and there's Child Me. Mario Party DS. Good find. Had to buy the game separately, but it still cost me a lot less than if I bought everything together. Thank you, man who thought this was garbage. It's not. Jackie and I went to a church rummage sale in East Islip, and they were just like literally selling garbage. Torn boxes that didn't have appliances in them, cookbooks that were water damaged. I saw this weird like Sesame Street cookie cutter set, and when I opened it, I think there were only like 2 cookie cutters inside when the box touted like 10. Whatever, I'm sure that was cool back in the day, and I'm sure it would still be cool if everything were there. So I was about to give up hope at looking around and not seeing anything, but Jackie informed me that it looked like there was more inside the church. I'm Jewish. I don't have a problem walking into a church, but I always make the joke like, oh no, I'm walking into a church and I killed Jesus somehow. So I made that joke as I walked into the church. Luckily I didn't burn up, but I did find Wii Ski for Wii, which is totally complete. And it's not hard to find, it's not expensive, but they were asking $1 for their games, and this is more than $1, so might as well pick it up. Now is the best time to collect for Wii and Wii U, because they're generations behind and they haven't become retro yet. So it's really good to collect for Wii now. Collect for Wii now, before it starts to go up in the next 5 or 10 years. Wii Ski, and Wii Ski right to the bank to take out $1 for Wii games. Remember that. Speaking of $1, my favorite phrase in the world, $1, we went to this yard sale, and this woman was selling some video games, and she was very upfront about selling some video games. So I was like, oh, cool, she's got video games, and they're all out here, and they're all for sale. And you know, they're not individually priced. It doesn't look like it. We're just gonna walk up and ask what they're like. So Jackie picks up Bowser's Inside Story for DS, and she brings it up, and the woman's like, well, I tried to sell it to someone for $25, and that's when Jackie and I went, oh, okay. But the woman's like, but they didn't take it. And we're like, okay. And then she opens up the case and she shows Jackie that the cartridge itself, the DS card, has actually been damaged because it was bitten by this woman's dog, as she explained to us. And then she goes on to say, yeah, my dog kind of bit it up. I probably couldn't go any lower than $12. And we're just like, your dog bit this, and we're at a yard sale, and you want $12 for this last generation game. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I lost a little hope because I was going to get a game too. And I held that game up to her, and I said, how much for this? It's in my hand. Don't worry. You'll see it in a second, because I got it. I said, how much for this? And she goes, $5. And I look at the game, and I look back at her, and I'm like, would you do $1 on it? Because it's really not worth that much. And I just said that point blank, and Jackie looked at me a little like, can you just say that? Like, you're being assertive right now. And I'm like, I got this. I got this. And the woman's like, all right, fine. Because it wasn't worth $5. It was worth about $1.50 because it's Frogger's Adventures Temple of the Frog on Game Boy Advance. This is not worth $5, and it wouldn't be worth $1 except for the fact that I don't think any Game Boy Advance games are worth $1 or less. This is like $1.50 or something. So yeah, good find. really wanted this game, actually. I like all the Frogger games, even the shitty spin-offs, and the weird ones where Frogger is, like, a lot more anthropomorphic. But, yeah, $1. Sorry, lady. I'm not paying $5 for this, and no one's gonna pay $12 for the copy of Bowser's Inside Story that your dog chewed up. I'm sorry. Breaking news, I'm not sorry, but, you know, that's just the way game hunting is. That's a shitty Game Chasers reference. I'm sorry to any Game Chasers fans out there, including myself. I went to Savers a lot with Jackie, too, where we found games. Jackie had explained to me pretty much that day that some of her favorite games growing up were Sims, and she mentioned a couple others, but one that stuck out to me was Sly Cooper. She played a lot of Sly Cooper growing up, and I said to myself, and to her, because we were talking, I've actually never played a Sly Cooper game before. In fact, I don't own any. And she's like, what? We have to change that. Don't worry, we'll figure that out. And I'm like, we will. I'll own it eventually. You know, I know there's like a couple games in the series, but I don't have any. And then we went to Savers, and we fucking found one. This is the greatest hits copy of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, which, no matter how many times I try to type this on my sheets or in articles or whatever, I always misspell Thievius. I know how to spell thief. I know it's I before E. But for whatever reason, I always spell Thievius O-U-S at the end like it's an adjective. But it's not, it's just Thievius. Like it's Latin. So that's my fault. Thievius Raccoonus. It's a stealth platformer for PlayStation 2 where you play as Raccoon Boy, also known as Sly Cooper. I really like the concept of Sly Cooper, and when I was a kid growing up, I didn't have a PlayStation 2. I only had Nintendo stuff. So when I would see commercials for Sly Cooper, I'd be like, ah, man! But then I'd remember that I have Mario and Zelda and Metroid and everything else like that, and I'd be like, oh, man, whatever. But this was always one that eluded me, and now I'm glad I have it, and Jackie and I can play it together. And I can play it myself, too. Because I don't need a woman to make me feel real. But I need Sly Cooper to make me feel real. Let's talk about something a lot cooler than the previous things I've already talked about. We went to this yard sale, and it was at like toward the end of the day, and we were already kind of like, alright, we really haven't found too much, but keep going, you know. And I use an app to find yard sales because it makes it a lot easier than driving around trying to look for signs. And as we were driving to this yard sale that I had GPS'd because of this app, we actually came across one that was unlisted. And those are better because people who don't use apps probably won't find them. And we wouldn't have found this if we hadn't tried to get food first, because it took us a little out of the way, and then when we were rerouting to get back to the place we wanted to go, we found this sale. So it was completely a fluke that we found this sale. But I'm glad that we did, because we got a couple great things there. I'll talk about one of them now and one of them whenever I decide to pick it up later to show in this video. But it's a complete in-box Pokemon Stadium for Nintendo 64! And this woman only wanted $5 for it. So I said, duh! And here, I'm going to prove it's complete in the box. It's not new, it has been opened, but I'm going to prove it. I already own Pokemon Stadium, but it's cool to have a copy that's fresh, completely new, right out of the box. Here's the transfer pack. I doubt this thing's ever been used. And look, it's my favorite thing about video games. Books. But yeah, $5 for all this stuff. I'm so happy. It even has the $3 rebate if you purchase Pokemon the First Movie, which a lot of copies of this don't still have, because people used this. So this makes it 100% complete. It has everything. It has the booklet, the instruction manual. It has the player's guide offer, which you also sometimes don't see in this. Of course, it has all of this random N64 literature. And this strange $3 Pokemon Stadium poster offer. But yeah, it has everything in here that is supposed to come with this game, which makes it 100% complete, and it's a big box N64 game. These took up space, so people threw this away. I threw mine away. But now I have another one, and I'm not throwing this one away. So there you go. Pokemon Stadium, complete in the box, with everything. I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy, happy, happy boy. So I made a deal with somebody on Long Island Retro Gaming on Facebook, which I've talked about in this series before, to go pick up a couple small gaming accessories that I still needed for my collection. And there's a small story attached to that. One of my friends, Mike, who owns the Video Game Trading Post, actually asked me to pick up some stuff from this dude also when I picked up mine. And in exchange, he gave me $10 in store credit for the Video Game Trading Post. So of course I did him the favor. But I picked up my own stuff too. So I found this dude. He was having a fire sale, which is not an actual fire sale. There was no fire involved. It's just where people discount stuff super low so that they can just sell stuff off because they really need the money. And I bought a couple things from him. So I'll start out with, I bought the Game Boy Advance e-reader, which I never had growing up, and I didn't know anyone who did have it. It wasn't very popular. But basically, this is a card reader for the Game Boy Advance that lets you add things to games that already exist on Game Boy Advance, play games that were specifically made for the e-reader, or just collect cards to build up some sort of stats or whatever. And you could also use this with the Pokemon trading card game, because some Pokemon cards actually had e-reader strips on them. In fact, I think I have one right here that does. Let me check. I don't. I lied. I have a couple Pokemon cards here that I haven't put away yet. But some third generation-ish Pokemon cards came with like little magnetic strips to be read on the e-reader so you could do something with them. I don't know a whole lot about the e-reader's functionality. I have to look more into it because it's not very well studied. But yeah, it's a card reader for the Game Boy Advance. It came in one color, this one. So I own all the colors of this dumb thing, which means I own every e-reader ever made, every unique e-reader ever made. Not every exact unit. I don't own every single e-reader ever manufactured. You know what I mean. But yeah, that completes my e-reader console collection. Hooray. Since it was right there on the bed, I just figured I'd grab it. Another thing that I grabbed from that same sale was this red Game Boy camera. I already had a Game Boy camera, I had a yellow one, but you know me, I'm a monster, and I collect everything, even color variants. So I got this sweet red Game Boy camera. Red's my favorite color. I wish I had gotten this one when I first got my Game Boy camera, but they didn't have yellow! I mean, they only had yellow! They didn't have red, they only had yellow when I wanted to get a Game Boy camera for the first time, so I bit the bullet and got the yellow one, even though they were like, we might have a red one soon. I was like, fuck no, I'm not waiting. What am I, some sort of smart guy? But I have a red one now, and I'm a collector, so I was gonna get a red one anyway, so it didn't matter. I'm just sad it took like 10 years. But here we go, a red Game Boy camera. If you don't know about the Game Boy camera, what kind of rock are you living under? Basically, Game Boy was like super popular, and Nintendo said, what if we made an add-on that let you take pictures with your Game Boy, so now even like photography enthusiasts can get in on the action, and also people will just buy it because it's a fun, quirky thing. This actually held the Guinness World Record for the world's smallest digital camera for a short amount of time. So yeah, Guinness World Record holder for a short time. But yeah, I love this thing. I think it's super quirky and it's really fun. Pick up a Game Boy camera if you have a Game Boy of any kind, because again, it's fun. But not if you drop it. Late in May, I was having some car troubles, and they were really slogging me down. And in order to cheer myself up, I thought to myself, what's one thing in this world that I've wanted more than anything else? And of course I answered that question with video games. And that's when it happened. I drove down to the Video Game Trading Post with my car that was in disrepair because I'm dumb, just because I needed to cheer myself up. I cheered myself up with Mario Party 2, which I went there fully expecting to pay like $60 for, but apparently someone had traded in a bunch of copies of Mario Party 2 just prior to my arrival. So I only paid $40 for this because they needed to liquidate them, which is so cool! Mario Party 2 is not hard to find, but it's really expensive, and I paid $20 less because I went there at the right time. Luck was on my side. I'm sure I don't need to explain what Mario Party 2 is, but in case you live under the same rock that afforded you the negligence to not know about the Game Boy camera, Mario Party 2 is a party game slash board game slash minigame compilation starring Mario characters, and it's the second one in the series and one of my favorites. It's also, even still to this day, the only one in the whole series where you change costume based on where you go, what board you pick to play on. So yeah, it's really fun. I cannot wait to play this with my friends, even though it's 2 months later when I'm recording this. We still haven't gotten around to playing this, but we will, and I will probably lose, because I've lost my charm. But at least I've gained Mario Party 2. Mario Party DS. Mario Party 2. That's a lot of Mario Party in 1 month. It would be a shame if we also got Mario Party 8. Actually, it wouldn't be a shame. It would be fucking awesome. I went to this yard sale, and this guy didn't have any games. In fact, he was like, I have all my games, and you're not getting them. But there was another yard sale down the street, and I was like, have you been to their sale? Do you know if they have any? And he's like, I doubt it, but good luck. So we walked over there, and they had video games. Because I bought this one. I bought this one along with another game. In fact, let's show it right now because it's not that important. iCarly. Oh boy. Because they wanted $2 a game, which is fantastic for Mario Party 8. But I thought to myself, I will spend more money if I buy more than one game, but I'll spend less money per game. And I still want to finish every video game collection, so I might as well pick up one of these other crappy titles they have here just to get it out of the way. So for $3 total, I got the 2 of these together. And obviously, here's the more important one. Just kidding. This is the more important one. I just talked about Mario Party 2, so I don't need to talk about Mario Party 8. Take everything I said, and instead of the word second in the series, eighth should go in its place. There you go. There you go. Also, iCarly. Miranda Cosgrove. At least now you're a part of my life. In some way. I think. That trip Jackie and I took to Savers also afforded me one more PlayStation 2 game, which I didn't have and have no games in that series either. So Jackie was like, you better get this too. And I went, of course, anything you say, mistress. It's God of War! Not God of War for PlayStation 4. God of War for PlayStation 2. I don't like it when games in the same series have the same title. I don't care if it's a reboot. Don't do that. That bothers me personally, and that's exactly why you shouldn't do it. It's God of War. It's a hack and slash game where you play as Kratos, who is not the God of War. In fact, he's pissed at the God of War. Ares. Greek mythology, motherfuckers. And then you go beating up everyone that Ares is, like, sending at you, and then you win. I have never played this game, and I don't know much about it other than that. I do know there was an Easter egg in this game or something like that where you could call a phone number. Although maybe that was God of War 2. I really don't know. I just know about that Easter egg. But yeah, God of War. We'll play this. Me and me. And me will enjoy it. It's console time! I got an NES! I already had an NES. In fact, I already had 2. I have this model and I have the top loader. But we stopped at a yard sale, the very last yard sale of the day on that day. And I barely had any money left, so I wasn't expecting to really buy much. But this one woman was just sitting there out on her porch chair, and we parked and we walked up, and we said, you got any video games? And she said, no. So I turned to walk away, and I said, thank you. And then she said, but I have like a Nintendo console if you want that. And I said, I'll look at that. Because you never know. Even though I already have pretty much every Nintendo console ever made, you never know what she means by Nintendo console. In this case, it was the Nintendo Entertainment System, the very first one, and what some non-gamers refer to as just the Nintendo. And she said she wanted $10 for it. I looked in my wallet and I only had $6. And I said, I'm sorry, but I only have $6. And she said, I'll take 6. So I got this for $6. And it was in better condition than my old toaster model, that this is sometimes called. So I replaced that with this one, and I gave the old one to Joe, because he has always wanted one. So why not? For $6, Joe got a Nintendo. He paid me a little money for it, but I gave him the controller and the hookups free. That's just the way game hunting is. I'm going to stop saying that before I get sued. But yeah, when you go to yard sales, you can get Nintendo Entertainment Systems for $6. So go! My girlfriend Jackie celebrated our relationship beginning by giving me a video game that she had lying around in her house. And I was so excited. She said she didn't know what games she had, but she wanted to give them to me anyway. And she presented me with 4 games, 3 of which I already had, so I will send them to my friend Tyler as soon as he is fully moved into his new place. And the 4th one I didn't have, but what a game to give me to celebrate the beginning of our relationship. It's Shaq Fu for the Super Nintendo. I already have this on Genesis, and it's bad on that, and it's bad on this, and it's bad on every platform it came out for. And Jackie pretty much knew that when she saw it because she had heard about it, and I had to re-explain to her how much I hated her now. Just kidding, I'm still happy I have this. If you don't know, and really, God bless you if you don't know, this is a video game where you run around an overworld and visit different locations in ancient China? ? I'm not fully familiar with the landscape. Playing as Shaquille O'Neal, and you fight a whole bunch of other made-up characters, Mortal Kombat style, in a fighting game with Shaquille O'Neal, popular basketball athlete at this time. I guess the developers were just like, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, they got Michael Jordan in Space Jam, he's a basketball guy, and they even put Shaq himself in Kazam. He's a basketball guy, so what if we take both of those things, Shaq himself and a basketball guy, and put him in the game we're making, which has nothing to do with either of those things. And it came out, and everyone's mad about it these days. In fact, there was a website for a long time, I'm not sure if it still exists, there was a website for a long time dedicated to finding and destroying every copy of Shaq Fu. I don't agree with that, even though the game is terrible, and they'll never get mine. So they can go suck a dick. And Jackie, thanks again for this terrible game. I love you very much. The first yard sale of the day. The second time I went yard sailing in May. No rhyming intended. Yielded some pretty good results. I got 2 things from them. Actually, I'll just show them both off at the same time. The first one is this. It's a Wii Classic Controller Pro, which is great because just last month in April I got, or actually I think it was in March, I got a regular Wii Classic controller. But it's cool to come across the black Wii Classic Controller Pro that is basically the exact same thing, but has extra shoulder buttons and actual hand grips, so it feels like a real freaking controller. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of this design of controller, and I think it's pretty much exactly what they were going for when they manufactured then the Wii U Pro controller and then the Switch Pro controller. So yeah, it all started here. Great design. I really like it. But at that same sale, I got this. it's the UDraw game tablet in the box for Xbox 360, and it is complete. Can I pull out the tablet? Is still in the fucking cardboard that it comes with. But let's pull it out, and I'll show it to you anyway. And I'll put it away on camera, and then cut that out because I don't want to bore you. But check this out. It's a drawing tablet for Xbox 360. I think that's really cool that something like this existed in that generation of games, because I grew up loving Mario Paint. So to see this come out for, it also came out for Wii, and I think it came out for PlayStation 3 as well. So to see this is really cool. I'm really glad that they made something like this in that generation of games, especially for a Microsoft console, something that I was never really the biggest fan of. It's still cool to see it come out. But of course it comes with the game also, because what good would the tablet be without the software that goes with it? And I have the box, and the instructions are in here. So, yeah. Everything's all together. It had a $5 price sticker on it, and Wii U Classic Controller had a $2 sticker on it. But I'm a cheap bastard, so I asked them if they would just do $3 together. And the guy was like, well, I mean, this alone is $25 on eBay. And I was like, you're saying the word eBay at your yard sale, I'm gonna turn around and go home. What are you gonna do about it? I didn't really say that, but I was thinking it. And he didn't say anything else after that, and I was like, okay, but it's marked like 5 and 5, so like, I'm not paying you $25, you have it marked 5. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, oh, it's marked 5. He's like, oh no, I know, I just like, I'm not gonna go down that much. And I'm like, oh, did you do $4 for all of them? And he's like, alright, whatever. Great, he won't do $3 because this altogether is worth $25 on eBay, but he'll do $4. Why even mention eBay? Don't do that. Do not say the word eBay at your yard sale. You're not a store, and if you wanted to put your stuff on eBay, you could. I'm at your yard sale. I'm not paying $25 for stuff at a yard sale, not unless it's a whole ton of stuff and it's all good. Get out of here with that shit. But yeah. Look at all the stuff I bought. Let's just finish up the Xbox 360 bullshit that I bought because it's cheap these days. I was at this one yard sale and it was raining outside. And this yard, we were gonna go home actually, but we passed by this one that was not marked on the app that I use. So again, pretty good luck. And they actually had a tent set up where all the stuff was under. So they were doing this yard sale, rain or shine. So I looked at Jackie and she was like, probably means there's not a lot of people there. Let's go. So we got out of the car and marched up, and wouldn't you know it, they had this tub. And I mean a tub, huge tub, full of last generation games for Wii, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. I was talking to the woman as I was paying for the thing that I bought, which is this game right here, we'll talk about it in a second. And she was like, yeah, my son, he had all three because he couldn't decide and we couldn't either, so over time we just got him all three. And I was like, wow, what a lucky kid. Like, I have all three now, but that was not until like, years ago. So, yeah. Cool parents, cool kid for wanting to have all three also. But of all the stuff she had in her tub, it was all either stuff I already had, didn't care about, or just didn't want at this juncture in time. We'll see about the future. But there was one thing that I was like, I should get this, because I liked the original and I liked the sequel. So the weird spin-off sequel should be somewhat fun, right? Right? It's Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. It has nothing to do with what Plants vs. Zombies means and what it was originally intended to be, which is a tower defense game. But why not? Why not pick this up? It should be quirky. I don't know if online is still functional on the Xbox 360, so I'll barely play this online, if at all, even offline. But yay, I got this game for $1. My favorite phrase. Hey. That's cool. So, in addition to the e-reader and the Game Boy camera, when I picked that stuff up from that guy from Long Island Retro Gaming, I also got one last thing, and that's this big monstrosity, which I will untangle slightly for your pleasure. It's the N64 VRU, which stands for Voice Recognition Unit, otherwise known as the N64 microphone. This came bundled with Hey You Pikachu, and I got Hey You Pikachu a little while ago at a convention, about a year, maybe 2 years ago, and it didn't come with anything, so I was like, well, I can't play this until I get a VRU. But now I have a VRU, so I can suffer through Hey You Pikachu. It's a microphone for the Nintendo 64. You plug this into the Nintendo 64, and then, hooray, you have a microphone, which is great, I guess. Hey You Pikachu sold okay, but it's more fondly remembered today as being just a gimmick, because kids love Pokemon, and the ability to talk to Pikachu using your own voice with this microphone was really cool, and it really enchanted a lot of people. I would, however, like to mention that Hey You Pikachu is not a good game. At least I don't think so, and I don't know anybody who does think so, because Pikachu sucks at listening to you. So it's basically, it's not Hey You Pikachu, and it's Hey Pikachu! Yeah, you! What the fuck? So, I'm gonna play that game with this monstrosity. I love video game accessories. I think they're always super cool, no matter what their intentions were. But yeah, here's a thing I bought. Here's a thing I own. Here's a thing I'm happy about. When I bought the complete in-box Pokemon Stadium at that one yard sale, that actually wasn't the only thing I got there. She was also selling a Sega Dreamcast and a stack of games, and she wanted like $70 for all of them. And it included a controller, because how else would you play them? A controller that I didn't have, actually. I have a Sega Dreamcast controller. It's the regular matte, actually I think it's like a glossy finish, but it's just the gray one that came with pretty much every launch console. But she had this beautiful transparent red Dreamcast controller, and I love the transparent series of Dreamcast controllers, especially red. That's my favorite color. We've talked about this. So I asked her if she would bundle it with Pokemon Stadium and do both for $10. So I got Pokemon Stadium for $5, and I got the controller for $5, because she said yes. Check this controller out. It's beautiful. It was very dirty when I first bought it, but I clean everything, so now it looks immaculate, and I'm very happy with it. Yeah, it's red. I'm gonna play with this all the time, and by all the time I mean on the rare occasion when I touch my Sega Dreamcast. Let's do it. On the very first of the month, so back in April, actually, I was asked by Dustin's girlfriend Zoe if I could pick her up from the airport when she came to visit on May 1st. I said sure. And then that very same April day, my mom said, hey, on May 1st I have to go away for a business trip, can you take me to the airport? And I was like, what airport? And she told me the airport was JFK, in Queens, here on the island. And I'm like, hang on one second. And I asked Zoe, hey, what airport are you flying into, actually? I should have asked you that first. And she goes, oh, JFK. And so I asked both of them what time, and it lined up perfectly. I brought my mom to the airport on May 1st, and within the same half-hour period that I was at JFK, I picked Zoe up. And Zoe was like, hey, let's drive to a game store and I'll buy you like a game or two as a thank you for picking me up. And I was like, you don't have to do that. And she's like, no, shut up, I want to. Thank you so much for picking me up. Zoe's super cool like that. So we went to the video game trading post, where I had $10 credit from doing that deal for Mike, where I took his stuff from that guy, and I delivered it to him. So I had $10 in store credit, so I was like, whatever Zoe gets me, I can add $10 to and get myself something also. So Zoe and I are at the video game trading post, and we're looking around, and I'm like, you know what? Since I'm going to be getting some stuff for free, I should probably get something that I won't see very often. So I'm looking at these games, and they're all, like, expensive, the ones that I'm looking at, and I turn to Zoe, and I'm like, so how much did you want to spend on me? Like, give me a limit so I don't kill you. And she thinks for a second, and she goes like, well, you picked me up, which cost not only gas, but your time, and Dustin doesn't get out of work till 4, so we have to hang out for a bit too. And I'm like, you know I don't mind, like, any of this, especially not the hanging out with you. I don't mind. I love you. You're great. She's like, we'll call it $50. And I'm like, what? $50? Why you, what? You're gonna spend $50 on me because I picked you up from the airport? And she's like, yeah. Like, that's really sweet of you. You don't have to do that. Like, I was thinking you would spend, when you said you were gonna buy me a game, I was thinking like $10 or $20. Not even 20. That's too much. And she's like, $50, go fuck yourself, buy what you want. And I'm like, oh, and I have $10 in store credit, so I can make it $60. Holy shit! I just got $60 worth of video games basically for nothing. And as much as I protested with Zoe, she was getting, like, ornery about it. She's like, take my money and my kindness, you son of a bitch. So I said, fine. And for $60, I got 3 games from the video game trading post. The first one being Chameleon Twist 2 for N64. I grew up renting and loving Chameleon Twist 1, and I had only ever played Chameleon Twist 2 once because I rented it as well from Blockbuster after I had beaten Chameleon Twist 1. But I never owned it. So I got it. Really happy. It's kind of different from Chameleon Twist 1, but it's still Chameleon Twist. So it's still right here in my heart. But I also decided, you know what, I don't have a lot of Virtual Boy games, I only have 2. So let's get 2 more and literally double my Virtual Boy collection. So I got Galactic Pinball, which had a Blockbuster sticker on the label, and I was able to remove it, revealing that underneath the label was already kind of shitty. Which kind of sucks, but that's okay. Galactic Pinball, it's a pinball game for Virtual Boy. I don't like video game pinball, except for Pokemon pinball, because of the Pokemon aspect. We talked about this before, but it's one of the only 14 games that came out in North America for the Virtual Boy, 22 total over all regions. So, yeah, I'm gonna get it. And I also got Mario's Tennis. Not Mario Tennis, Mario's Tennis. The tennis belongs to Mario, which was the very first Mario Tennis game, before Mario Tennis. So you have this to thank for Mario Tennis. Even though it's terrible. They're all terrible because they're all red and black, and they cause eye strain, and it sucks. Virtual Boy's bad. But Virtual Boy Wario Land is a great game on that system. In fact, I think it's the only good one, probably. Oh well. I'm still glad I got all 3 of these games. Thank you, Zoe, and thank you, Mike, for the extra $10 in store credit. Thank both of you, especially you, Zoe, for affording me the ability to just get these games for none of my own money. Thank you so much. And last but not least, the great-grandfather of video games. Just kidding, it's actually one of the many competitors of the Atari 2600. It's finally a goddamn fucking Intellivision Model 1! I got this from a buddy of mine, my friend Phil, who was like, I don't know if this thing works, and it's rattly, and I think it's broken, but if somebody wants it, they can have it for 25 bucks. And I was like, I'll do that, because even though it's broken, maybe I could probably fix it, and if I can't, maybe Joe can, or maybe someone can, for the cost of less than what it's actually worth new, and not by, like, by new I don't mean like new in the box, I mean like working, not old and shitty and crusty like this. The cost of what it actually is worth, working, functional, is like 90 bucks. So for $25, I took a chance. And it was really rattly, and there were some wires that were disconnected in places, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a project. But when I brought it home and I opened it up with Jackie, It actually turned out to be really easy to fix for two reasons. One is that all of the dislocated wires could easily be slotted back into place. They had just been like torn out by, I guess, force over the years, but they weren't actually disconnected, they were just dislodged. So I was able to put them back where they belonged so that wires weren't exposed and things would work. And also, when we opened up the Intellivision, we found out what that rattling was. Someone put roasted peanuts inside this Intellivision. And I don't mean that figuratively. The pudding part, they literally put them inside. And I can prove this because there aren't any openings on the Intellivision large enough to afford the size of those peanuts inside the machine. Not even this here. Even though it looks like a hole, it actually terminates in plastic. And the cartridge slot too terminates in plastic inside. There are no holes on this thing except for these vents on the top, which not only do those vents not afford space to fit peanuts, they would lead right into the controller bay, which is not the inside of the console. So the only way peanuts could have gotten into this console is for it to have been opened and for the peanuts to have been deliberately put there, which baffles my mind. I have a photo of it, actually. Yeah, you know, we'll put the photo up. Put the photo up! I'm editing this, so me, put the photo up. That's crazy, right? There's fucking peanuts in the goddamn Intellivision. I posted it on Facebook, and everyone was like, wow, that's nuts. And I was like, ha 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 ha. Except I was actually more like, ha ha ha, that's clever, because I love puns. But yeah, I've been looking for an Intellivision Model 1 for goddamn ever. Nathaniel and Shannon bought me an Intellivision Model 2. If you guys remember that, I did a pickup video where it was included, and I was like, yes, I finally have an Intellivision, but I still don't have the first model Intellivision. Well, thanks, Phil, because I got this one for a price that was nuts. Sorry. But yeah. Oh, man. And it did work. After I got rid of the peanuts and relocated all of the wiring, it worked on the first try. Yes! So that's everything that I picked up in May with Jackie. And yeah, I'm like super happy about all this stuff. I got a lot of good stuff. The NES was great. The Intellivision was fantastic. I almost said nuts again, but I'm not going to, even though I said it right there. But yeah, super cool. E-reader, red Game Boy camera, the fact that I was able to get Mario Party DS, just the box and the manual, and then I got the game cheaper because it didn't have the box and manual, and completed them together on the same day. Ah, so good. June is coming up next, and I got a ton of really good shit in June because Jackie and I discovered a holy grail of places that exist on this island to find video games that not a lot of people know about. And I'm a little hesitant to share it with you, but then again, like 5 people watch my channel, so is competition really going to go up that much? I'll share it with you in the next episode of my collection pickup journey. Thanks for watching this episode. I hope you have a great day. And I'm not dead. Glover's coming back. I had to fix my computer. It exploded recently, so I lost all the footage that I had recorded and was ready to put up for Glover. So I have to re-record it from the beginning of the game, which I'll do. Don't worry. You'll get Glover. And more stuff about my music will come out soon, too. I promise. I'm busy. I'm sorry. Stay cool. It's super hot this summer in New York, and I imagine wherever you're viewing this from, it's probably hot there too, because one whole half of the Earth is experiencing summer right now. That's the way the northern and southern hemispheres work. So yeah, stay cool. I love you very much. Thanks a lot. Video's over now. See you later. Bye. We're done. We're done. There were peanuts in the Intellivision.